going, guys? It's John with Zebulon Pottery. I'm going to go over how to use the slab roller, best practices, and things that are going to help you so that your project does not warp. That includes warping when it dries and warping in the kiln. First things first, when we roll out clay, we want to be nice and even with that clay. I like to work anywhere from 3/8 to 1/2 inch thickness, and I'm going to talk about reasons why you might want to end up with a little bit of a thicker slab. When it comes to rolling the clay through the slab roller, keep the clay in between the two sheets. I like to keep it right dead set in the middle, and that's side to side, front and back. I'm gonna take this clay, put it in between the sheets, and then I'm gonna roll it down. So the way you're gonna measure thickness is the ruler is on the back side of the slab roller, and ideal is about 1/2 inch to 3/8 thickness in clay. To adjust the roller height, you're gonna spin the top roller, and I always think it's best to go down 1/8 of an inch at a time, which is gonna be about a spin and a half, or maybe 2 spins. So to get it to bite down on the clay, I get it to where it just barely touches, and then the roller, you want it to go in the direction you want it to go. So if I want it to go this way, I'm going to spin it that way. If I want to come back, I want to spin it back towards me. You go down about a spin and a half, and then you roll straight through. Other best practices, you want to be smooth with the roller. Don't inch your way through like this. It definitely shows up on that clay. You want to be nice and smooth first. Say I needed the clay to be at least a foot. I can put my roller down and I say, well, I've got enough width. Now I'm trying to get my length. And because I'm rolling this down 1/8 of an inch at a time, I really don't need to flip the clay like a pancake. I don't have to flip it over. All I'm gonna do is take, lift, and rotate 90 degrees. That way, now when it starts to roll, I'm gonna start getting length out of the clay. So once we've got our project roll out to the thickness that we're looking for, there's a couple different ways of flipping it. The major thing you want to be concerned about is accidentally bending or warping your project kind of like a taco. It can remember how you treated it and warp in the kiln. Keep both canvases together like this. I like to give it a gentle fold. My project is right about here, maybe about 1 inch below where that fold is, and then I'm just going to be smooth about it. And that is going to do pretty well for me. And then I can get this bottom canvas off. Once you've peeled back both canvases, you're not going to have any problems with sticking anymore, and I can choose to work with this however I want. I've got a slab here that's about 1/2 an inch thick. The reason I left it this thick is because I'm going to use a textured rolling pin. Now, all I do is add even pressure and then just simply roll through. You can turn around and do a lot of things with textures on your clay, but I really only want to talk about thickness of the clay and why that's important. When you look at slab thickness, you really want the clay to be thick enough for you to work with, and this I think is almost ideal. We're looking at about 3/8 thickness of clay, and that's because when I applied that texture, we're gonna lose some thickness in the clay. Talking about what's gonna cause problems right out of the gate, first off, you're gonna go ahead and push a very thick mass of clay through the rollers without going down 1/8 of an inch at a time. And I'm gonna set this up, hopefully, so you can see it in real time and see how it curls. And that curling is gonna be a big problem. Either one, it's gonna warp when it dries, or it's gonna warp in the kiln. And also, it is difficult to even roll through. So that doesn't look terrible, but you can see how that looks. That doesn't look great at all. And it's kind of like pushing clay right through a pasta maker. You can see how the canvas is bunching up on me. We just rolled the clay through as quickly as we could without inching our way down. That's gonna cause warpage. Now, the next common problem I'm gonna have is gonna come from not wedging the clay properly, and I'm gonna get a a rib so you can kind of see it a little bit better, but it looks like a blister. So I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Yeah, that looks good. So not having really well wedged clay, you're gonna get these ugly blisters, and you just take a needle tool and pop them. And I push all the way through the clay. I kind of hit in a couple of different spots. Now this doesn't have to be pretty because nobody's ever gonna see the repair. And then I just gently kind of push down and vent that clay out. Now you're gonna lose some volume there, which means I'm gonna have an ever so slight little dimple right here, little dimple right there, but it's much better than having those blisters. Next thing I kind of see is people tend to go too thin with the clay. So that's at about 1/2 inch thick. Now I'm gonna go down to a 1/4 inch, which is very common for people who are just starting out on the slab roller, and I'm gonna show you how it looks when you peel the clay off the canvas. This comes up nice and easy and is still usable. So this clay was rolled out to 1/4 inch thick. Kind of see the difference. A lot of times people will roll the clay out this thin, kind of feeling like they're getting more out of their clay, but you're really not. It's just so hard to work with. Now there are certain things where like this might be useful, but if it's a general purpose item, cups, bowls, something functional, stick to a minimum of 3/8 of an inch and upwards of 1/2 inch thick. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments, or if you're a Zebulon Pottery member, feel free to ask, and we'd love to help you with your projects. Thanks a lot, guys.